This is always iffy when we get started because I never know. There, we have one eyeball, so I guess we're getting people in. I'm Urvashi and I'm going to show you some really crazy cooking today. I'm going to try to show you an entire meal, which is a little ambitious and perhaps stupid, but we're going to do it. And it might be fun and I might screw it up or I might not, so we'll have to see. Hey Joe, good. Okay, so Joe's there, everybody can hear. I'm gonna get started. Before I get started, while we wait for people, I do want to point out I have an Indian Instant Pot cooking book on Amazon. The nice thing is there's only 3 days left, but if you pre-order the book now, there's a little contest and you could actually win an IP Mini and an immersion blender. So I hope you'll sign up. It's 56 different recipes, very, very simple, very much like the very simple butter chicken you guys have used. And I'm gonna show you how to make some of the dishes from there. So now I'm gonna try 4 dishes, which is a little bit insane because here I am, I've never cooked live on camera, and instead of doing 1 dish, I'm doing 4, but we're gonna do it. Some of these things are not allowed. One thing I do want to point out is that some of you know I have rheumatoid arthritis, and so my hands are often inflamed and I'm clumsy. So if I drop things, that's very normal for me. My dog is waiting right here, and that's a very normal thing for me. And sometimes I have to use my teeth because my hands don't work, so don't freak out if that happens. That's just how I have to operate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a chicken korma. And by the way, my husband's behind helping with the camera, and my son's on the right-hand side. I don't know if another 17-year-old who would help his mom out on a Friday night with comments, but I can't see the comments. So if there are questions, he's going to signal me. Okay, we're going to make the korma. Now, one thing I did not do was I don't have it set gorgeously with everything laying out beautifully, because when you're cooking, you're not going to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do, and I don't have the recipes in front of me, I'm doing this from memory because these are dishes that I know how to cook. So the blog might have a different recipe, or the cookbook might have a slightly different recipe, but by and large, you'll get an idea of the technique. So the thing about the korma is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to blend every vegetable that there is that goes into the sauce all at once. So I'm going to actually start with the tomatoes. So I have canned tomatoes here because I ran out of fresh, and that's just fine. You want to put the most liquid thing at the bottom. So there go my tomatoes. This is the simplest thing you guys have ever made, I guarantee you. There go my onions. And then this is a jar of ginger garlic paste. You puree garlic, you puree ginger with a little bit of water. There's a recipe for it. And having this at hand makes it really, really simple. So I'm gonna dump, I don't know, whatever feels right. I'm gonna dump in an ounce of almonds. And if you're not wanting to weigh almonds, an ounce is like a good healthy handful. So if you can see that, that's an ounce of almonds. And then we're gonna put in a lot of green peppers just because I like them. Okay, onion, tomato, ginger, garlic, almonds, and green pepper. Okay, that's all we put in there. And this is where all the taste is going to come from. Now this is going to be loud, it's a Vitamix, there's nothing to be done about it. I really should use the tamper, but then if I do, then there's one more thing to wash, and so I typically don't. I mean, it's literally that simple. I have the basis for my sauce. Here's my little mini. I'm going to pour this in. Is everybody doing okay? Hey, Jen, you're on. Any questions, Alice? Hey, Georgia. All right, so here's my dump everything in recipe. Okay, I just poured the sauce in here. I have water somewhere. I know this is gonna happen. Oh, here we go. I'm just gonna slosh a little water because I'm cheap and I don't like to waste veggies. So I'm gonna slosh it about a bit, and I'm gonna pour some in here. This is how I cook. Like when I first make a recipe, I just throw things in, and then when I have to document it for you guys, then I go back in and I measure everything. Okay? So now in terms of making things easy for yourself, see this ginger garlic paste? That's like a huge time saver in Indian cooking because you use it so much. So you're better off just making it once and having it out there. And then this is the other time saver. So this is called a masala dabba, and every Indian household has one. There's a delay, so I'm hoping you guys can see it. So, oh, thank you for the kitchen. So here's what I do. Here's a little spoon. This is a half a teaspoon, but you can follow the actual proportions on the website. This is how I cook. I take this and I throw in a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of cayenne, not too much. I have cumin coriander powder here that's been ground together. I'm gonna throw that in. I'm gonna throw in some garam masala. And I'm gonna throw in some salt. This is my sophisticated cooking algorithm here, y'all. This is how we cook. And then, all right, I'll just use this. I'm gonna use this I'm gonna stir it about, and then here's the important part, which you really need to learn how to do, is you need to smell it. You need to smell it, and you need to make sure that it smells fragrant and you can smell enough masala. Alex, question?
I was asking,
yeah?
a masala what?
That was the garam masala that I put in. Was that your question? What did I put in? It was just the garam masala mix that we use for butter chicken, that we use for just a whole bunch of different things. This mixture of onion, tomato, ginger, garlic, etc. is also very confusingly called masala. A masala means a spice mix. By the way, somebody called me garam masala the other day, which I thought was kind of funny. It's a little bit of an inside joke, I guess. Okay, here's my very ugly chicken that I don't like to touch, so it's in a bag. If that didn't answer your question, by the way, Jean, let me know. But the name of the spice, yeah, yes. Masala Dabba, D-A-B-B-A. There's a link to it on my blog. There's a thing for it. Look for gifts for foodies. Search for the word foodies, and a post will show up that has all of the things that I use. Okay, here's my chicken. Chicken's going in. Guess what? We're about to cook this bad boy. So here it is. Like, I've done literally nothing. You guys saw, right? That's how long it takes me to get dinner in place. I have to do one more thing just to make it efficient, which is I'm gonna put this trivet on there. And then I have here a very sophisticated tin, y'all. This is what I'm gonna make rice in. So I have, you know, obviously a ton of pot and pot accessories. Where did the water here? Okay, I have a ton of pot and pot accessories, but sometimes you don't, right? And you may not want to spend a lot of money on it. And so these little loaf pans will make a half a cup of rice. I discovered this when I just couldn't find anything. So if you look at the rice video that I have, half a cup, this is about a fourth of a cup. So again, I'm winging it a little bit, but it usually works. Now I'm gonna put some salt in here. I'm gonna use my hands, try not to freak out too much. And then I'm going to use my homemade ghee. Okay, how's everybody doing? What's the feedback, Alex? How are we doing? All good? Okay. See this ghee? I'm going to dump the ghee in here, okay? And slosh it about. It's very precise cooking, y'all. You see how carefully I measure everything. Okay, so now I would like to tilt this, but if I tilt it, there'll be a mess. You saw the chicken at the bottom with the masala. There's a trivet. This was the messy little trivet. Now I'm putting this guy on top. This is a mini, by the way. And then I am ready to try to figure out how to cook this backwards. Pressure cook, 10 minutes, and it's gonna do it, okay? That's it for the korma and the rice. There's gonna be one little step when the korma is finished. Boy, we're going through this fast. This is gonna be like a fast cooking class. All right, so any questions on that? Don't you saute the chicken? I do not saute the chicken, actually. I am a very lazy cook. I try to use science in my favor, and if you watch the video for the Maillard reaction, you will discover that there is actually no need to saute the chicken, that the browning that occurs with sauteing is about to happen anyway. Yes, Alex?
Would you recommend buying pre-prepared ghee?
Pre-prepared what?
Prepared ghee.
Ghee? You can, it's just really, really expensive, and so I don't. And it takes like 20 minutes on the stove top to do, and so I tend to just make it at home. You literally, so here's what I do. When I start to cook other stuff, I put the butter in the back on the stove and kind of just let it go. And the thing about the ghee is that you have to actually not mess with it. Messing with the ghee, stirring it, breaks what's called the grain of the ghee. So the best way to make ghee is to leave it the heck alone and do nothing. So this noisy thing, I'm jacking it up to about 400 degrees. We're gonna make shrimp tikka on this. I'm gonna start to show you how. This unattractive looking shrimp here is gonna be the best thing you've ever had. So now you're gonna see a pattern in how this happens. More questions, Alex?
What kind of rice was that?
That was basmati. So typically I use long grain basmati, and I have a video on doing rice and the right proportions that you have to use to be able to do rice. Okay, see my handy dandy ginger garlic paste. That time I used half a cup of rice, half a cup of water. For basmati, use 1 cup rice, 1 cup water, a little ghee, a little salt, 4 minutes NPR, 4 minutes high pressure, and 10 minutes NPR.
Did you rinse it?
Typically I do rinse it. This time I didn't, just because, you know, you would see my butt, which you don't need to see right now, so I didn't actually rinse it, but normally I do.
Where did you get the snap holder on the blender for the wand?
Oh, that's Amazon, where every good thing comes from. I'll try to provide you guys with a link for it. Okay, see, you remember the spices I put in? Guess what? Same drill, different proportions just because it's a little bit less. Cayenne, turmeric, cumin, coriander, garam masala, a little bit extra, a little salt. And then typically here I do smoked paprika, which I have misplaced. Oh no, I have not. See this? Smoked paprika. Okay. So now I'm going to use my handy dandy little spoon and I am going to throw some in here for flavor and color. And I have some chopped coriander that's going in here for flavor and color. I can't believe I'm actually doing this without having made these recipes in a while, so I really just hope it works out. Is everybody doing okay while I mix this? All good? That spice dabba is awesome. See how much time it saved me? Imagine if you had to go get all these 5 or 6 spices. Like, it's not even worth messing with.
Is the cumin coriander a 50-50 mix?
It is a 50-50 mix, yes. The cumin coriander is a 50-50 mix, and I just make it in my handy dandy little spice blender. Okay, look at that.
Did you make the ginger?
I did. I made the ginger garlic paste. What I do in a Vitamix is I put 1/4 of a cup of water at the bottom. I dump in a bunch of garlic cloves. I dump in a bunch of ginger without peeling it, and I zap it, and that's it. And it keeps for about a month in the refrigerator.
A ton of people don't know how to get this link.
Get what?
This link.
How to get which link? Oh, the link for the thing? I'll provide the link after. Don't worry about it. I will. The link is on my blog on TwoSleevers.com. If you go search for foodies, it'll have most, if not all, of these things. Okay? So our rice and korma is cooking. This thing is heating up. We want this really, really hot because when that shrimp goes in there, you want it to cook real fast. Okay, guys, did you see how long it took me? How long did it take me? Like 5 minutes? Less? Less than 5 minutes. Ginger, garlic, every spice that looked good that I had in my dabba, and smoked paprika for a little color and a little flavor. Okay? While this happens, I'm going to make dessert. This dessert is called Shrikhand. And by the way, this is how I cook. I literally do cook this fast. Can everybody hear? Is everybody doing okay? Yogurt from your Instant Pot, right? Wondering what the heck to do with all that yogurt? I'm going to tell you.
Someone's asking you to put the link in the comments as well.
Yep, I will. I will definitely put the link in the comments. Okay, now here I have some yogurt. Here I have some powdered, in my case, erythritol. You might have powdered sugar, and that will be just fine. We're going to dump it in here. And y'all, unfortunately for the cook, you have to taste this as you go, which is such a hardship. Because your yogurt could be really tart or it could not. And so we don't know until that happens. So I'm going to take my yogurt and my sugar, or the sugar substitute that I have. And I know this is terrible, but I'm actually going to taste this thing in front of you guys. Here I have ground cardamom. I ground it earlier, okay? And I'm just going to throw some in here. And I cook by smell a lot. I can actually smell a food and say if there's enough salt in it or not, so you have to forgive me for sniffing at the food in front of you guys. Just be happy I'm not licking the spoons, which I typically do. Okay, here's my cardamom, my sugar, and then, Alex, where's my, oh here. What I did earlier was I took a little bit of half and half, and I put some strands of saffron in it. I heated up the milk so that the saffron would leach its color and its fragrance. Oh, that smells so good. Okay, watch. I'm gonna throw this in. You definitely want the last bit of this cardamom because that's the expensive stuff. You know, the reason this dessert takes forever to make in India is because we don't get Greek yogurt easily. And you have to hang your yogurt overnight, and like that's the part that takes the longest time. But here, especially with all of us fanatics making our own Greek yogurt all the time, it's not an issue. Dessert. I'm gonna taste, okay? Sorry. Okay, so what you want is you want a mix of tang and sweet, and mine was tangy but not sweet. And it's not dessert if it's not sweet, so we're gonna put some more in here. Is everybody good? Hey Jill. I feel special. Jill's here, y'all. Jill from This Old Gal, who's created all of these wonderful recipes. The salt potatoes are her latest. The cheesecake, the zuppa toscana, the other chicken thing that I'm not gonna remember the name of, but I'm really happy she's here.
What's the name of the blog?
The name of the blog is TwoSleevers.com. Okay, here's my dessert. Literally took that long. Okay, now off camera, honey, do me a favor. Put this in there so we'll have it ready to go. Okay. Meanwhile, I have this thing. It's hot. I'm gonna use ghee. This is my homemade ghee. Okay, this is a little bit browner than it should be, in all honesty. I was distracted by a shiny object, which happens to me a lot. So, what I'm gonna do with my pan is I want my pan real hot. Okay? Is the camera about to go off? And it's beeping at us. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the shrimp that we've put, for those of you who are just joining, this was very, very simple. Ginger, garlic, cayenne, cumin, coriander, garam masala, salt, and then smoked paprika. It's in the ghee. Now what I have to do is very, very simple. I have to put this in one single layer, okay? And this is gonna cook super fast. Actually, this is not as hot as it should be. So what should happen is it should sparkle as soon as it goes in there, and it should cook. But while that's happening, we will just put this in here in a small layer. This is gonna cook so fast. I tell you what, the days I'm really bored and I don't wanna cook, I make this because Alex, who's sitting over here, and he knows this about himself, is actually a very cautious eater, shall we say. And so there are things that he just won't eat, but this is one thing he'll eat every time. And he can't take any spice. So when I'm not sure if a recipe is gonna work for people's kids, Alex tastes it. He didn't inherit my genes on the spice stuff, for sure. How are we doing, Alex? Questions?
What is the cooktop you're using?
Oh, this one? So I'm using an induction cooktop because otherwise my stove is in that corner and you would just basically the back of my head, and my back of my head is not as attractive as it should be. I have a very flat head for some reason. Okay, the shrimp are cooking in here, and basically I have to do nothing except leave them alone for a while. And now I might struggle with the tongs, okay y'all? I have, okay, I'm gonna flip them. The only thing you need to know about this shrimp, it needs to be in a single layer, and it needs to be, the pan needs to be really, really hot.
Do you have a tikka masala recipe?
This is my tikka masala recipe for shrimp. Oh, yes, I do. A chicken tikka masala, that basically what you do for the chicken tikka masala recipe, it's on the blog, TwoSleevers.com. The way it works is that you put the chicken on one side and the sauce. Remember this kind of sauce we made for the korma? Basically, you put the same spices in the chicken. Alex, don't lick your fingers, sweetheart. You put the same spices in the chicken, and you put the same spices in the sauce, and it goes together about this fast. Okay? Guess what? My shrimp are almost done. That's how fast this thing is going to cook. And if I was doing it on the stove top, it would be faster. So of course I forgot to get like a plate to put the shrimp in. So that's going to be an issue. But here we are. Is everybody doing okay? So one thing I did do is I did make the tikka masala on the rice earlier so that I could show you what it's supposed to look like. So if we have a little bit of a lull in these shrimp, I'll show you what's happening there. Oh my God, this looks good.
What is ghee?
What is ghee? So ghee is actually a clarified form of butter that's used for 2 or 3 reasons. One is because it lasts forever. They've actually found ghee in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa tombs, which were over 1,000 years old. They found these containers of ghee, and as long as the ghee is sealed, it doesn't go bad. So what you do is you put it, like I do it on the stove top. Actually, Jill has a recipe for doing it in the IP that you might check, this old gal. Thank you, love. You basically cook the butter until the milk solids settle to the bottom and the milk solids get brown. So you do it because it tastes better, it tastes nuttier. You do it to preserve the butter, and you do it because it has a higher smoke point. Now this thing, I set it at 460. Like, it's a pretty hot little sucker here. Okay, butter would burn in a heartbeat, and unless you're trying to make brown butter, you don't want to do that. So excuse me, I forgot a plate earlier on. By the way, thank you for those guys who told me to go get the IKEA plates. My hands were bothering me and I couldn't do my Fiestaware plates. And so people suggested that I get the lighter ones. Okay, I don't know if y'all can see it, but the shrimp are like done. That's how fast it is. So on the shrimp, you normally people will say, look at it, and when it turns pink, this guy's not turning pink, this guy's turning nice and orange, right? There's a lot going on with the shrimp. There's a lot of spice in here. So here's how you can use this guy, a couple of different ways. One, you can serve it as an appetizer. So you just make the shrimp and then you can eat the shrimp by itself. You can serve it with a little bit of a sauce. But another way to do it is you can put it in the leftover sauce from the butter chicken, or you can put it in the leftover sauce from the chicken korma. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Okay, Our shrimp is done. I'm terrible at plating, okay? I'm like shit. I'm really bad at plating. I can't believe I almost said that word. I'm really bad at plating. So this is not going to be the most beautifully plated thing you've ever seen, but it's really delicious shrimp. Any questions, Alex? Are we doing okay? So how long did that take? 8 minutes, maybe, right? And it would take less time if my hands frickin' worked, because I wouldn't have this issue with them. Okay, so in this time we've made dessert. That dessert does need to chill, and we've made shrimp.
Did you start with raw clean shrimp or
Yep.
frozen shrimp?
I started with raw shrimp, but they were defrosted. Okay, so let me see. Are we all good? Okay. Next thing I'm going to show you, I made the. No, I know what I'm going to do. Something's beeping, honey, over there. I'm going to show you a very quick salad. You're going to look at this and you're going to think, I don't even know if this is called cooking because there's not much to it. I have a normal ladle that I use, but the ladle isn't working, so I'm going to, on the induction cooktop, so I have a little cast iron pan here. And let me move aside the things that I don't need. Make sure that's good. Okay, this is what's going in this. My hands aren't working, sorry guys. So when you come home and you're exhausted and you don't want to cook too much, you buy this thing of coleslaw. And if you want to, you can rough chop the cabbage, but we're actually not going to cook this cabbage. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to put in some cabbage. Okay, so I just have basically raw cabbage in here. I also have some Spanish red peanuts that I have chopped, okay?
How often do you go live?
How often do I go live? Well, I'm trying to do every Friday night. I gotta be honest with you, like I'm not sure how helpful it is for people, and so sometimes I feel like I'm being stupid doing it every Friday night, and my husband keeps saying get over it, maybe I should, but I'm trying to do Friday nights. Okay, if you haven't seen this guy, I'm gonna burn myself, like I'm gonna catch fire here in half a second. This is a little pull chopper. It just chops things really easily. If you know somebody with mobility issues and you love that person, get them one, it's totally worth it. There's a link to this as well. Chopped peanuts, I'm gonna throw some in. I am going to throw some cilantro in that I've chopped earlier. Okay. Oh, I'm going to put some cilantro on here because why not? Okay, and now I actually need oil. Excuse me, dog. Sorry guys, I wasn't as organized as I should have been. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a classic technique called tadka. So in a tadka, what you're trying to do is, this is the Indian version of tempering. When we say tempering, we don't mean tempering the way that most Americans use that term. Most Americans mean that when they're using, like, you know, you're trying to make sure that something doesn't curdle, or you're trying to make sure that eggs don't overcook. That's not how we use that term, okay? Okay, see, now my cast iron pan here is smoking. I'm gonna put, watch, there's not much. I'm gonna put about that much oil. And then I'm gonna wait until the oil shimmers, okay? You have to cook by look, by smell, and by feel. This oil should look like it's dancing across the thing. That's how you know it's hot. I'm gonna take in some cumin seeds. I don't know what you guys can see and what you can't. Now listen. Can you guys hear that sizzling? And I've lost my spoon. I will use this one. Okay, that's it. I may have burnt it a little bit. And you pour it in here. Yep, it's hot. Hang on just a minute, let me get a spoon. Okay, that whole process was called tempering. So what did I do? I took some oil, I heated the oil, I put in cumin seeds, I put in mustard seeds, you can use black or yellow. I put in some turmeric because you don't want the turmeric raw. The thing's beeping again, honey. I'm gonna put in some salt. Huh?
It's your hot plate.
Think what? Yeah, my hot. Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. I put in salt. Okay, and then you want something sour in there. So, yeah.
Are Spanish peanuts any different than what we use in our Indian cooking?
In what cooking?
Our Indian cooking.
No. Red Spanish peanuts are the ones that we get at home that you might fry in a little bit of oil. That's actually what Spanish peanuts are. I want the last of this thing, and no, it's too hot. I'm sorry guys, I'm like a live cooking virgin here, so bear with me. I didn't have everything in place. So here was my oil thing, and I want the last of the flavor. So I'm gonna put some in here, and I'm gonna squeeze it. Okay, that thing that I just did with heating up the oil and putting it in here, that is what's known as a classic Indian tadka. So when somebody says, you know, temper, and you're talking about Indian cooking, that's what we're talking about, okay? Move, Gracie. What you want in here is savory, a little spicy, a little salty, and I'm gonna do some Truvia just because I can't do sugar. But there's my sugar going in, and then I don't have my cutting board here. I'm gonna take some lemon, and I'm gonna try to ream it, which is very difficult actually when your hands are jacked up. So this, if you want this recipe, it's on TwoSleevers. It's called Indian cabbage slaw, raw cabbage slaw, and it's one of my favorite ways to eat it. But here's the trick about this thing that you need to know. If you know how to make this, you can make the same thing with cucumbers. You can make the same thing with cooked beets. So cook your beets in the pressure cooker for about 15 minutes if they're halved over a steam rack. And you can make this exact same recipe, and even though the basic of the recipe is the same, they all taste entirely different because what you're doing is you are actually tasting the raw vegetable itself. How are we doing, Alex? All good? Okay, that pot finally just came to pressure. In the time the pot came to pressure, we made dessert. We made shrimp tikkas, and we made the salad. Now this salad does need to sit for a little bit because it's got that lemon juice and the salt in it. And so you want it to marinate a little bit. So we're gonna put it in here, and we're going to, now sometimes I put tomatoes in this. I forgot to chop up the tomatoes, so we didn't, but tomatoes in this is actually really quite good. Okay, now I know this is not what you think about when you think about Indian cooking, because you know what, you would never get this at a restaurant. This is the kind of home cooking that we do, and so when you learn this dish, you're actually cooking the way that most of us do at home.
Will this be recorded and added to your blog later?
Yes, I'm hoping to record it. I might have to redo some of it and do it individually, but we'll have to see how that goes.
Was your chicken frozen?
My chicken was not frozen. I just had chicken thighs that I used up, and that's all I did.
What does tikka mean?
Tikka means a bit. Gracie, my dog wants to help here, y'all. A tikka is a piece of meat. So like chicken tikka, shrimp tikka is a piece of meat. So this guy is a tikka, it's a piece of meat. That's all it really means. Sometimes people say tikki. Don't say tikki. This is advice from me as your Indian friend. Don't say tikki. Tikki means something entirely different. Aloo tikki is a particular dish. That's a snack dish. Tikka is a meat piece, and then aloo tikki. Tikki is a whole different word. Okay, I just want to remind you what we've done in this whatever time we've been on. Here's the cabbage salad. Here is the dessert, Shrikhand, S-H-R-I-K-H-A-N-D, also on the blog. Here's the shrimpy thingies, and now I'm going to show you the rice and the korma that I made earlier. This is probably like the least sophisticated way to show you. So I had done the same thing. I put rice on top. There's my rice, perfectly cooked. And right down there is the chicken tikka, which I don't know how to show you. But I have to do one more step before I can show you. So let me just do that. I'm going to use a little bit of coconut milk. So the thing about a korma is it gets its sweetness. Alex, I thought you were supposed to open this, sweetheart.
I told you it wasn't all the way
Yeah,
open.
yeah. A korma gets its sweetness from nuts and from coconut milk. So, I know you're dying to see this. There's the chicken. Oh my God, that smells good. Okay, I'm mixing in some coconut milk, and then you guys know I always ask for a little bit of garam masala at the end. And see, I don't have to go anywhere because it's all right here. I'm mixing this in. So one for the pot, one for the nose is the way I like to remember it. One for cooking and flavoring the sauce, and the other one for fragrance. So when I actually smell this, I can smell quite a bit of fragrance in here. And I'll tell you what, let me just put it in here for now. Okay, now in real time, you saw me make this in real time, the korma. It was super fast. There's a lot of extra sauce. Okay, and I'm going to put some cilantro on top. Alex, can you help me, love? Move some of the other stuff out so we just have the food left on the table here. Just move all of this out if you would. I'm a very messy cook. Can you guys tell? I'm a little bit of a messy cook. But I think this is why you have kids, right? Your kid is supposed to help you pick up. Mine certainly does. I'm lucky. Okay, and let's put a little bit just because it looks good. Okay. Meanwhile, the Instant Pot has 6 minutes to go. So from the time I started the Instant Pot, making the sauce with you guys, explaining everything, which takes a while, here's everything that we have made. We have made this Shrikhand, which is going to get more orange as it stays. We have made a cabbage slaw. We have made shrimp tikkas. We've made some really well-cooked rice. And we've made some chicken korma. So I want you to tell me again how Indian cooking is so complicated that people can't do it, because it took us, what, 20 minutes. The things that made it easy for me, one, you know, of course I've done it 100 times, so that makes it easier. But the other things that made it easy were having the ginger garlic paste already made, really helps. Having simple recipes, and having that masala dabba really helps, because I'm not running around in 16 directions trying to get it.
You mix up your own garam masala.
I do mix up my own garam masala, and I highly advise that you do that. I have a video on cooking with spices. There's a homemade garam masala recipe that's actually Raghavan Iyer's recipe. The man is a god as far as I'm concerned with Indian cooking. He has a book called 660 Curries that we just love in our household. I'm using his garam masala recipe with his permission. It's the best one I've ever tried, and the cooking with spices video tells you how to use the various spices, and how to make your own garam masala video tells you how to actually make it. So there's that as well. So, I mean, somebody come over and eat, because God knows we can't finish all this. But I want you to understand how easy it is to make these recipes. And in that Instant Pot cookbook that I was telling you about earlier, there are, 40 other recipes that are about this simple. Now, this one is not in the cookbook because it's not Instant Pot. That one I think is in the cookbook, I'm not sure. We put this one in because I used the Greek yogurt from it. And the way to make the korma is, there's butter chicken, there's rajma, which is kidney beans, there's chana masala, there's chicken vindaloo, there's chicken korma, there's chicken tikka masala, there's bengan bharta, there's palak paneer, there's all the likely suspects, dum biryani, chicken biryani, lamb biryani, paneer biryani, bunch of other things in it. So there's the book, go pre-order it, and when you do, go on to my blog and enter to win a mini IP and an immersion blender. How are we doing? All good? Okay. I have nothing more to show you tonight, so we actually just made 4 dishes in that time, and I will get online in a minute and answer your questions. I really hope it was helpful for you guys, and I don't want you to be intimidated by cooking Indian food, or, you know, if I show you a Thai dish or whatever. All of the recipes have been super simplified, okay? If I can make them, you can make them. Trust me, I'm not a trained chef. And I really appreciate you spending your Friday night with me, and I hope this was helpful. And I'm Urvashi Pitri from TwoSleevers.com, and I will see you soon. Thank you.